Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Ground Up Coder. So it's been a hot minute since I've released a video, and I just kind of wanted to update you guys on some of the stuff I've been working on with gucOS. So just wanted to do three things that I wanted to share. I think something conceptually fun is just having a browser inside a browser. So there's no way I'm getting Chrome in gucOS for a number of reasons. C++, threads, and other things I'm sure I'll hit if I actually try to port that giant monstrosity. But NetSurf. Also, yeah. So the thing is, I have this NetSurf exists, and what NetSurf is a minimal browser written in C. And look at that. So it's still a work in progress. So what is NetSurf? So NetSurf is this browser written in C that's very minimal and very portable, which I'm so happy that this thing exists. And so because it's written in pure C, I can compile it with my compiler, and hence I can include it in my in gucOS. So the thing is, you might wonder, how do I reach google.com? As you saw, if you just open NetSurf with google.com, if you open google.com with NetSurf directly from gucOS, you get a page that couldn't find the website, and that's because you have CORS rules, which means that if you're in a browser window for one website, in general, unless that other site opts in, you can't make requests to them. But the way I work around this is by having a local host bridge that I'm running right now on the underlying machine that will reroute the requests, and that does allow me to open pages like this. But you see, there's kind of an issue here. If you actually try to do a Google search, Google will deny you because Google does like to protect their search, and so you kind of just look like you don't pass their fancy browser tests. So NetSurf, but okay, so Google is not usable, but there are other sites that are. If you do Wikipedia, it's still kind of jank. Oh crap! Damn, it worked before. Damn. Is that also broken? Okay, Y Combinator works. So I guess you can see, say, Y Combinator here. Kind of works. Yeah, so it's got issues. Needless to say, I gotta figure out why this one's broken. Yeah, so, and you also see that there's no browser URL bar. That's because I've only taken the core, because the NetSurf has multiple front ends. I think among them are GTK and Win32. I do support a Win32 shim, but I don't think I support enough of it to properly support NetSurf. So I added a custom front end, which is very minimal right now. So it's just literally a window with a page open. So yeah, work in progress. But you can't, which is cool, right? Browser inside of browser is fun. But one thing that's kind of not so cool is if I try to open Ground Up Coder OS in Ground Up Coder OS itself, you can kind of see some of the tabs here. But yeah, there's no shared array buffer. Even if this shared array buffer were to pass, I still don't have web workers, web GPU. All of those features are required for this thing to work, and NetSurf just does not support them. But even this, I think, is quite cool. The next thing I wanted to share is gucman. Which is list. So it's basically a package manager. You know what I should do? I should just copy this into list all into packages.txt. Ew. Yeah, there's also a bug here when I'm using the bridge. Guckman has an issue. And then, let's see, Notepad, let's open this with Notepad. Yeah, so if you see here, I do have a set of packages here. Ooh, also you might notice, yeah, what's that mystery? Anyway, so like, I got this package manager here, and then you can, if you want, you can install, some packages. Do I have Lua installed already? I feel like I do. Lua, oh, it's already installed. Yeah, so if I wanted to install like MicroPython, already installed, but I don't have the sources installed, right? And yeah, so you can install the sources as well so that you can kind of look through them as well if you wanted to. But yeah, so I have a package manager here because, like I do want to add a lot of cool stuff, but I also don't want it baked into the base image of the system. So this allows me to develop separately while keeping that around, which I think is kind of cool. It's very simple. Like all the packages right now at this moment, they're all baked into the C compiler repo. But I do eventually want to separate them out so that it can be managed separately. And then the last piece I wanted to share here was which was let's say, oh yeah, G-code. So this is like the most like lowball thing you can give an AI, but let's say we create a little folder Tetris, and then we have G-code, create a Tetris game in C and STL. Can look at the headers, but no special flags are required. CC should just be able to build STL programs. Yeah, I haven't had the context stuff properly set up with the AI yet, but as you can see, there's also like a little AI agent that you can kind of Claude Code ish thing that you can run. Yeah, which is all right. Like I haven't used the CLI agent in a long time because I always use my PWA app, but it should work. It should work. Yeah, like I said, that's running for a bit. But yeah, so like once you start having agents inside, then you can do some really fun stuff, right? Like you can create a lot of like throwaway code to generate a bunch of fun like toys or whatever. But yeah, I guess still running. Still running. Oh, come on. Stop looking around, you lazy butt. Just create a simple main.c with STL. You don't need anything beyond. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm using DeepSeek because, money agents are not cheap. But I think Flash should be able to do it. Let's see. Taking a while. But yeah, so while that's going, I guess I kind of also want to talk about like kind of where this is going. Because yeah, I think, what I would really like eventually is to have more and more of my like digital like life be on, my own little universe, I think an email server would be doable. Like, I mean, not an email server, but like an email client is doable. I think like you could do game dev stuff like entirely inside the system. I mean, sure, like I think naked like STL3 is gonna be kind of rough to build on top of, but I do have WebGPU, and like Yeah, and then video editing. I think this is also doable because we have web codecs. This is going to be a tricky one. It's going to be like a little bit of a new ground, but yeah. And then what else? Yeah, and I think this could also itself be a PWA app, which means that this like gucOS itself could be just an app that you install on your phone, right? And then you could have it do stuff, and then build tools that will run exactly the same on like a browser tab on the desktop in the future. I think that would be kind of cool. But I just think like once you have a system that you kind of own enough of that is portable, I just feel like it's that kind of opens up a lot of fun stuff. Yeah. I guess this is a bit of an aside, but it's like when people say like, when you have a system, like a software that's supposed to be free. Ooh, yeah, look. Yeah, so when you have a system that's supposed to be free, but like, that free software, like even if the software itself is open source, right? If that piece of software requires you to be, on a very specific platform, yeah, it's broken. So this is a known issue. This is like when you have an app using SDL delay, there's an issue. It kills the compositor, but luckily you can just for now you can just refresh. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, but the last thing I wanted to say is like when you have a system where technically the software is open source, but if you can't compile it and run it on any hardware you want, is it really yours? There's like a philosophical question of like what counts as owning a piece of software? What counts as something being ground up? And for me, part of it, like I've like there are many different ways you can approach this, but I guess the thing I kind of care about is, I guess the thing I've always cared about, like, many years ago when I started programming is like, I would work really hard on crafting a piece of software. And then like, I realized that this beautiful piece of software I wrote, on my own personal machine, it won't easily run elsewhere, And like, clearly I'm not the first person to think of this, right? Like literally, every language, so many frameworks, like, C was this thing where you write once and compile everywhere. Java was the thing you compile once and you run everywhere. And they solve the problem in varying degrees. But I think like in all of those cases, I think what you really want is to own that layer that does the translation, right? And I think, I think like, what I realize is that at a language level, you don't own enough. Like a C compiler, which is also kind of, to be honest, this is also what kind of drove me to want to build my own C compiler, is because like, if you're using somebody else's compiler, even if it's open source, it just feels to me like, it's not mine. I can't, if I have a new like hardware architecture, I'm still at the mercy of somebody else porting that system to, that compiler to that system, right? But if it's your compiler and you design it to be very simple, right? You design it in a way where it could be moved elsewhere. I don't know, it might have been just a skill issue. maybe just a skill issue when I'm just wrangling with Clang and it just drives me nuts. But but then I realized like the compiler is not enough because you actually need a whole system, right? So I don't know, and at the same time there's a tension because I don't want to build literally like, I don't want to slave away going down to the details of like, doing literally every tiny thing because, the reality is like, then I would be stuck, never building anything, right? It's like if you're a painter and then you decide that, you must pluck the hairs from every yak to be able to make your brush. You'll be lucky if you can finish making the brush, right? You'll never actually paint anything, right? And I just want to have fun. I just want to paint stuff. I want the canvas, and I just want the canvas to not like, disappear or deprecate under me, right? And I think the easiest way to not have stuff deprecate under you is for you to own the stack, right? And so I don't know. It's kind of It's a little bit more political than my usual stuff. But anyway, yeah. I hope that was fun to watch. I hope it gets better, because part of what I want to do is to have more and more cool tools that eventually, like makes it so that the content of the video is entirely produced by the OS itself. And I think, yeah, there's some stuff where like, I put Codex here, not Cloud Code, because I think Codex actually is potentially portable. Because Codex is written in Rust, and Rust can compile down to WebAssembly, and then I could add, bindings that will allow it to run on the system. It was a bit of a stretch. I'm also kind of working on that with Clang. And then, whereas Cloud Code would require a JavaScript run. JavaScript runtime itself is fine. But if it does require stuff that is Node or V8 specific, there's no way I'm going to be able to port a real JavaScript engine like V8 or SpiderMonkey. Yeah, Threads, C++, which again, like actually Clang could make the C++ problem tractable, but it's just like so out there at this point. But Codex is like, yeah, hard to say. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, it's all of it is work in progress. It's kind of, everything's a little bit broken right now. But like, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So yeah.